The biz.
Well, good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Happy Cinco de Mayo after weekend. What did you do this weekend for Cinco de Mayo?
Not a whole lot. Cinco de Mayo I didn't do anything. Stayed home, but Saturday went to my nephew's birthday party. Daphne threw for her husband. And that was fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
You guys didn't eat no tacos?
Actually, she made all kinds of stuff. There was tacos, there was pozole, there was enchiladas.
So that was a whole Cinco de Mayo meal in itself.
It was such a nice setup. Well, she owns that Beyond Decor event.
Oh, yeah.
So her house was just laid and everything was very festive.
Oh, I bet.
It was really nice.
She really knows how to do it too. So we went to Tulare had at Zumwalt Park had an event, Fiesta de Mayo in Tulare here. Nuclear Jay had the spinner set up.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah, so that was cool. And then me and Thea went with the girls and we sat by all the food trucks and we just ate.
That's the best part of it.
We were like, okay, we're gonna sit right there and we're gonna eat and we're gonna try as many food trucks. Yeah, so we did. We tried like the few that were in front of us and we were just eating, and then if something didn't taste right, we tried something else. And then we did dessert and all kind of stuff. So that was nice. And they had live music. So Tulare, you gotta support when they're having those events. When I first moved back, I was bad at that. I was like, I don't wanna go anywhere. I'm just gonna stay in-house. But now I'm like, oh my God, these events are super cool and they always have something going on. So make sure y'all support when those events are out, because it really is a good time. But welcome to our Monday morning Empower Huddle. Happy Monday. Hope you guys had a rested or fun Cinco de Mayo weekend. Whatever it is that you did, I'm your host, Danica Dorsey, and
I'm your co-host, Darnell Rivera.
Our host. We're just the hostess, doing the mostest.
The mostest.
Right? But the show we're going to be talking about this morning. It's a topic that is near and dear to both of our hearts. We're not professionals in this field, but we know a lot of people. I'm sure you guys know a lot of people that deal with this specific topic. And May is awareness. It's Mental Health Awareness Month. And that's a very important topic to discuss and just talk about it. Talk about ways that we deal with our own mental health, and we just want to share some tips on things that we do personally. And so, yeah, that's basically, and this next Monday, we'll probably bring in a professional, or one of these Mondays, our goal is to bring in a professional so they can highlight and go dig a little deeper into the topic. So that's what we want to talk about this morning. And anything you have to say about mental health in itself?
Well, I think, when I was driving over here this morning, because I'm a little older, so, back in the day, it wasn't even open for discussion or conversation. So I'm glad to see how society has shifted it to where it is a very important issue now. And where before, you just didn't talk about that kind of stuff.
Right.
So I'm glad
in the
to
homes.
see the shift.
Exactly. In homes, in school, and employee, like
your workplace.
Workplace.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. It was like, what? You want to take time off for what?
You want to take a mental health day?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
No such thing. Right.
Yeah.
But you're right. It's talked about now, and it's important, and they make it very important. So I'm glad that they do, because I know there's a lot of people that struggle with that. So as we said, May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we're just going to share some different ways on how we gauge the temperature on ourselves and check in on our own mental health. And one of the next topic what I want to talk about is something that I think that a lot of people deal with. I personally don't experience it a lot. If I do, I don't know that I do, but and that's anxiety. And Do you experience anxiety?
I do, yeah.
And to what degree do you experience it?
And it's so funny, like the way you said that. I don't know if I do experience it, but in a sense, I remember being younger and you're just constantly in this flight mode, right? So you're constantly in this flight mode and you're working, you know, I've always happened to have jobs that are a little high stress. And you're just not really aware that, hey, this is a part of anxiety. You know, my heart's palpitating.
Right.
It's hard to focus because I'm worried about X, Y, and Z. But the older I get, I'm beginning to recognize, like, yeah, this does feel a little anxious, or this situation is making me feel a little anxious. And it's just having the knowledge to check in with your body,
right,
and how whatever's going on around you, how that's making you feel.
Yeah.
And I think if you can kind of grade it by then you'll be able to sense what is that feeling that I'm feeling. And majority of the time, it's not just stress; it's a little high level anxiety too.
Right. You know? I remember one time I went to the doctor to check in just to get a physical. Yeah. And the doctor, you know, the nurse was taking all my vitals and everything, and my blood pressure was good. And then, you know, she checks my heart rate, and after, she doesn't say anything, but when I go back to the room to see the doctor, he goes, "Are you feeling a little anxious right now?" And I said, "No, I don't think so." And he goes, "Your heart rate is really up there." And I'm like, "Oh." Wow. I said, so that's why I say, like, I don't know, maybe I was just, I don't know, maybe I had a lot on my mind. I don't remember what it was, but like I said, I don't know when, I guess I've heard people say, you know, oh, you'll know when you're having an anxiety attack.
Oh yeah, you'll know when you're having an attack, for sure.
I think that I think I experienced some level of anxiety when Daisy was born.
Oh yeah.
Because it was like the fear of unknown, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know. Every time the doctor walked in, I think that was a moment of anxiety because I didn't know what they were going to say. Yeah. But even then, I still felt like this sense of calmness on me. And I know that was God because He walked me through that whole journey. Right. That's a topic for a whole nother show. But, you know, I still felt a sense of calmness even in that craziness, you know. So, but anyway, I know a lot of people that are close to me that suffer with anxiety. And so when I hear about it, you know, I do have this empathy because I'm like, I couldn't imagine just feeling like, and I know there's levels to it. Right. I just couldn't imagine feeling like your body is like an outer body experience is what I've heard it to be. So
I personally, I think I've probably had one anxiety attack in my whole life that I could recall. And I just remember feeling like I couldn't catch my breath, or, you know, it's almost like, oh my God, I'm going to die because I can't breathe kind of thing.
Oh, man.
And there are people that I know that experience that all the time.
Yeah.
And I could not imagine living with that.
Right. But I've talked to people that have experienced and overcome anxiety attacks, and the things that they say help are deep breaths, like deep breaths. Some people do take medication for it. Some people like to try and do a holistic a way about it. And so, they'll go for a walk, quiet room, because it's almost like anxiety and migraine kind of work hand in hand. So right after an anxiety attack, it's like a migraine comes. This is what one of my really close friends tells me all the time. And I'm like, you know, so I said, well, how do you do that? How do you overcome that? And she's like, honestly, I go into a dark room, take some deep breaths. Yeah. She does take some medicine for it. So she'll take some medicine, and after that, she'll sleep. She wakes up and she's fine. So it's like a whole thing that she does to try and overcome that. Yeah. And so,
and I think when you start experiencing it more so too, you want to do that wellness check with yourself. You want to reach out, and you want to get those resources that can help you through it. One of my favorite, though I don't have panic attacks, I do get a little heart race in certain situations, and I practice box breathing. I was just sitting with a teenager the other day and was teaching them box breathing, which is the 4 seconds. You breathe in 4 seconds, you breathe out 4 seconds, and it's called box breathing. Yeah. And it really works for me. There are people that struggle with that because if they're in that panic mode, it's hard to catch the breath and control the breath. But it's a practice. It really, really is.
That's almost like having asthma too, because when you're having an asthma attack, that can bring on a lot of panic. I remember I have asthma, and I've had asthma my entire life. And when you can't breathe, that brings panic in itself. So but when you're having an asthma attack, I remember my mom used to say, just breathe. And I'm like, I can't breathe. Like, and that would just, get me all.
Yeah.
So, but, then I started to do Pilates. And a lot of Pilates requires, I'm going to kill this word, but diaphragm? Breathing, yes. And it's that deep, deep breathing where you literally connect your mind to your diaphragm, close your eyes, and you lift your diaphragm up, and then you breathe out. And that works, honestly. I found I do that a lot even when I'm in stressful situations. Breathe. People don't realize how important it is to just breathe in everything we do.
There's a whole practice about breath.
There is.
Yeah,
there is.
It's really beautiful. You don't realize how important that is, just to simply breathe.
Just breathe.
I remember a friend telling me years ago, we were in this really deep conversation, and somebody else was in the room. It was a work thing, and she says, I noticed you were holding your breath. And you don't really realize that there are sometimes situations where you literally just hold your breath. Or you do that low level breathing, and then you're like, all of a sudden you kind of come to. But breathing is, super important.
It is. It can change your whole mind frame in that moment of stress. But do you think that there's a connection with like nutrition and mental health?
Oh, yeah. I really do. I learned a long time ago that, I remember growing up in school, and I don't know if you guys had this, because again, we're age difference here.
Don't do that to yourself.
But, when you were growing up in school, what was the famous posters all around in the cafeteria? You are what you eat. And it's so true, because when I'm taking better care of myself and I'm putting lots of greens and goodness and fruit, and I'm taking my herbs and I'm doing those things, my mind, my cognitive level of just reacting to situations, I'm able to think clearer. But then when I'm the bad girl and I'm running through Jack in the Box and doing all those...
Feeding your flesh.
Feeding my flesh more than my flesh needs. But it's like, you feel that different. Yeah. When you put processed stuff into your body or synthetic food into your body, especially if you're used to like kind of living a health, it's like once you live like that, you can never really go back fully, because you start feeling just like crap. Yeah. Your mind's foggy. You can't think straight. You're a little snappy. And all you want to do is lay around and sleep. So I think that has a lot to do with your cognitive way of thinking and your mental health, for sure. I'm so bad at that too. Like Me too. I'm one where I'm like, if I'm in a sad state, I want to eat, and I don't want to eat a salad. Yeah. Emotional eating. Yes, I want to eat French fries. I want to eat all stuff. Just some chocolate at that on the side. It's like, I want to eat all the stuff that makes me feel good physically, but mentally, it's really not doing anything for us. And I know, I know that for a fact, because like you said, I feel like when I'm eating all of which I know I had jotted down, when I'm eating all the good stuff, I jotted down a few things that are brain foods, that help us stay focused, and leafy greens and teas and coffees, actually, fatty fish, walnuts, berries. Those are all brain foods that can help us, our spiritual, our mental. Not the French fries, unfortunately, but but I mean, it's so good. But I do want to, I try to be conscious about that stuff, because when I eat good, I do feel good. Yeah. And so that's physically, that's mentally, when I'm getting my fruits and veggies every day, and I do make, I'm a little proud of myself. I do make a conscious decision to what I put in my body, and there's some times where I struggle, but I'm human. We do. But that's the thing, allow yourself that grace, because we're human. Right. And, like, there's moments, when you're struggling, and like you said, you just want to dig into the cookies and the mashed potatoes and all that.
It's harder for women. I really do feel like that sometimes because, that time of the month is just. So, yes. Good morning to all of our IG viewers this morning. If you're just logging in, good morning, good morning. We're talking about mental health and how important it is to eat good and breathe, do your deep breathing. So we are actually, with that, I wanted to take some time to talk about like depression. And again, this is a topic that I'm sure maybe as a kid I've experienced. There's levels to depression, right? Do you feel like there's levels of depression, like mild depression? And have you ever found yourself like in a depression, and what routines did you do to try and get yourself out of it? Like you said, you're a little older than me, just a little, Nina.
Just a little.
And you've experienced so much in your life. And can you think of a time that you've experienced a really, really deep, dark depression? And how did you get yourself out of that?
Yeah, so I was a single mom for a long, long time. And those single moms out there, what that struggle's like. And sometimes just not having the support and the resources, I became a single mom at a very young age. I had my first son when I was 16 years old, and that was in 1980, right? And so...
mental health wasn't even talked about then.
Mental health wasn't talked about. You were shamed for everything that you thought did or... everything. And I just remember not having a connection really with anyone. And an older lady, my neighbor, actually was one who kind of pinpointed, and her name was Maria, may she rest in peace. She pinpointed, she said to me, Mija, your soul is sad. And I remember her saying that to me. And then she says, but I want you to know that I'm here, you could talk to me. And we would sit on the steps and I would just share with her. But I really feel like God just kind of sent her to me.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what that was, your soul is sad.
Yeah.
But then after a while, I went to college, learned a little bit about psychology and things like that. And depression is a very real thing that happens to you. That's why, today we encourage people to get, if you're feeling a little blue or if you're feeling a little down, talk to your doctor about that. There's so many resources now available to us as human beings. Talk to them and ask them, I'm feeling a little blue. I'm feeling a little down. I'm depressed or whatever. And a lot of times, if you're facing a lot of challenges in life and, 9 out of 10 of those challenges are all kind of negative, you're going to feel down.
Right.
You're going to get depressed.
Oh, yeah.
But reach out and see who's there. And those people will show up. And gather a tribe. Like I have a group of girlfriends that I reach out to, and we're on a group text together. And I will say, I need my sisters, and we find a way to get together. And, the first hour of our visit is usually everyone goes around and says what's going on, but you clear your space with people that you love. And you just kind of need that connection.
You do.
Know? But yeah, depression's a real thing.
Yeah. I remember when I found myself in a dark, dark time, depression was when I had Daisy Ray. And I know a lot of it was like postpartum and again, not even really knowing what that was, because honestly, I don't even remember my doctor really telling me about these are the things you're gonna feel after you have a child, which is postpartum, I don't even remember being talked to about that stuff. So, here I am coming home with this preemie. I have no idea what to do with her. And I have to write a sign, watch where you sit, because she was so tiny. And, and then it was just a scary thing. She was my first. And, all of the things we go through, our bodies, our mental, everything. But I remember just when I love being outside. And so I normally don't walk barefoot. But during that time when I was home, I was blessed to be able to be home for 6 months when I had her. So I was home. I would walk outside in the front on the grass. We had real grass then at my old house. And I walked outside barefoot all the time. Yeah, and my feet would hit the ground. And I would just sit on the grass and let the sun just shine on me. those little things right there helped me tremendously. I mean, I
bet you didn't even know what you were doing.
I didn't even know what I was
felt
doing.
The desire to do
exactly.
That, right? Wow.
I didn't know, but like it was like the earth. I mean, that's our medicine, right? The earth was just healing me, and it was just time alone. Or with the baby, she would be asleep, and we would just sit. I would put a little blanket out, and then I would just sit and let the sun shine. And oh my gosh, that natural vitamin D, hearing the birds chirp. Yeah, just things like that really, really helped me. And then, of course, I like to read, so I would sometimes bring a book, but it was just in that stillness and that quietness, those are the things that really helped me out of that postpartum or whatever it was that I was going through. I just felt like I was taking care of myself towards the end, and I really feel like that healed me sooner, and I was able to go back to work. I mean, because naturally us women have that superpower where we can do it, but at what cost? We can...
And we don't speak up.
We don't. It's like, we got to take it. We got to do it. We got to do it,
It's almost like there's 15 people in the room. Everybody recognizes there's something wrong. And they will ask you, honey, are you okay?
Yeah.
No, I'm fine.
I'm fine. Oh, yeah, that's the famous word. I'm fine.
I'm good. I got it.
Yeah. So, but really...
But going back to what you said about the grounding and things like that, there's something about being in nature.
Oh, yeah.
Even if you just are able to take a ride to the mountains and you're having a bad day, I would.
Or just walk around your neighborhood or your backyard, right where.
Park.
Yes, I'm a firm believer of let's just get out of the house. Even if it's like I said, for me it was just my front yard. I was on the corner, and I had a big yard. The lawn was huge, and so it was. There was a lot of grass, and so I was just able to put my feet on the grass and just sit there and listen. Like, for me, it's always the birds, it's like the birds singing, and I don't know, I just was able to just do some breathing even back then because I was seeing pelvic floor, and that's when I learned about breathing and all that. And how important it is. So definitely if, there's levels to depression. Again, we're not professionals, but, if you feel like you talk to your doctor. At the end of the day, talk to your doctor about it. But if you want to do just some self-healing and just take some time and give yourself some space and go outside and enjoy the medicine that God gave us, which is nature, I really do think that is a huge strategy and treatment that I used for myself and still use to this day because I struggle. And, if I feel like if there's too much going on around me, oh man, me and Donald both are like, my husband and I, we're both just like, oh, we need nature. We just need to be around. We need to be away from things, and we'll just go take a drive to Three Rivers and just go sit near there,
and the beauty of being a human being, your soul's always going to tell you what you need, right? Because there's times where, like, one of my favorite things is to get in my car, play my favorite music, and just drive. And sometimes I don't drive. I might just ride around Visalia or something, or jump on 198, or just there's something also about just setting yourself aside and doing things like that, listening to inspiring music, or listening to a podcast that might inspire you, or one of your favorite books on Audible, or something like that. It's definitely good to get away and separate yourself in those moments.
And the thing is, though, you have to do it.
Yes,
you have to do it. You can't. You have to pull yourself out of it because no one else is going to pull you from it. You have to do it yourself.
And if you can't, there's resources.
There's resources out there. Utilize, but that still takes some action on your part. So you have to do it. Like, no one is going to physically come and shake you unless you have those people that will and you allow them. But you have to make that step to say, I need help. I need to see my doctor, or I need to do this and I need to do that. You have to take those steps to do it.
And it's really good to also have a couple of friends that you can say, hey, I'm, in just sharing this, I'm thinking about a friend I just talked to not too long ago, and she's kind of experiencing some dark times right now personally, but she checks in, and our agreement is, hey, when I call, I need you to answer. I just need to know that you're okay. And sometimes, you can pick one or two people in your life that you can hold accountability to in that, and that's really super helpful as well. Just have a check-in partner. And she does that for me, and I do that for her. So
I love accountability partners. I have them at work. Me and my a friend of mine, at work. I mean, she's my accountability partner where, you know, we've got this little boss babe thing going on where, you know, we started like working out at the same time. And she's a mother of 2 girls, young girls. And, you know, we just like to check in with each other, like you said, and just make sure that, you know, we're good and we're doing what we say we're going to do, basically.
And then you know each other well enough to know that, hey, her tone, she's, oh, I'm okay. You know her, so you can kind of call her on it. Because, you know.
Oh, yeah. Yep. We all need that. Yep. So there's like the different levels of depression. So this isn't to like diminish anybody's struggle that they're going through right now, because, you know, there's depression that comes from a lot of things, grief, you know, and that's not something that sometimes you can just easily pull yourself out of. So the main thing is just when you know you're in that place, to seek help and to utilize the resources that are around you. Talk to your doctor, because there's help out there. So I know, again, with childhood traumas and the impact that and the role that it can take on adult mental health. You being a life coach, have you had any clients or anything that you've recognized childhood trauma and how that plays a role in adult mental health?
Oh, yeah, definitely. One of the assignments that I give my clients is kind of where they look back on their childhood. Like when was the first time you were afraid? When was the first time you felt unsafe? We look at that. We don't look at it in a heavy way because, again, I'm not a professional as far as therapist or anything like that. We just look at, like, how did you develop those strong suits? But the majority of the stuff that we carry, even into adulthood, and I can only speak on my own behalf, there's a lot of things that even now as an adult that are triggering for me based on trauma that I've experienced in my childhood. And I think all of us have that because, you know, like I said last time, our things aren't perfect. You know, our family's not perfect. And we've all kind of experienced, but yeah, there is definitely a correlation in our childhood trauma that affects our mental health to this day. And that's why it's so important. And I was, again, talking to a client the other day and sharing with him, you know, why don't you seek therapy when you know that this is what you're facing, you know, and a lot of times people don't want to take that deeper dive and look at that because it's a scary place to go, you know, because to remember the things that have happened to you, or to remember maybe your parents, you grew up in a single parent home, the abandonment from one of your...
You got abandonment issues now.
Abandonment issues now or things like that. But I think, you know, for especially men, I think it's challenging for them just to sit down and communicate and say, here's my problem.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Oh, that's a whole topic in itself.
Oh, yeah, you know. But then again, you know, they're courageous enough that they're going to protect their family, yet they don't find the courage to protect their own mental stability. And
I don't think, and I won't dive too much into that because that is a whole topic, but men, it's like, if y'all ain't right, then nothing's right. It's just like the saying goes with moms, you know, if mom ain't happy, no one's happy. But men, it's like, if your mental is not right, then, you know, you won't be okay for your family. There's no way. I tell Donald that all the time. You have to take care of yourself. You have to take care of your mental first, you know. The end of the day, we're going to love you and we're going to be here. But if you don't take care of yourself, then, you know, you are the head and everything is going to fall into shambles if you don't take care of yourself mentally. So it's so important to do that.
It's vital.
It is.
It's really
for men.
Because like when we were talking the other day about, you know, it's like you sprain your ankle, you go get that, or you injure yourself, you go to the doctor, you get checked because you want to feel better, right? You want to find out what's going on with your body so you could feel better, But we don't take that on in our life for mental health.
We don't. Not enough. Not enough to make sure that we're okay at the end of the day. And we have to. But yeah, the childhood trauma, and which is another thing that wasn't talked about for a long time. That wasn't really brought up until here recently, and how that plays a role in adult mental health. I mean, there's so many things because I mean, if we take time to think about when we're children, what we're exposed to, you know, whether you had the Brady Bunch family or you had like that perfect TV family growing up, there's still going to be something that's going to affect you, either in a good way or a bad way as an adult.
I mean, look at Jan Brady, right?
Yeah.
The girl had some issues.
Yeah. Right?
But no, it's true.
It is.
It's
and
definitely true.
And I remember for me, when I identified it, when I first got married, it was that security that you had talked about earlier, where, you know, I didn't grow up with my father in my life. I was blessed to have my grandfather and uncle, you know, my uncles that took that role for me and took care of me and gave me that fatherly love that I wanted. But, you know, the benefits of being a parent is no one can replace your parents. No one. It's just this biological thing that, you know, your parents are your parents. You know, they can't. No one can replace that. You're always going to yearn for that love from somewhere, that to fill that void. You're always going to try and find it. There's going to be things and people that pass through in your life, and you're going to try and latch onto it. Mm-hmm. But you know, that's the good and bad thing about being a parent, is because some parents are just not in that. They're not there mentally to take care or whatever. They just decide to leave. But, you know, I did have my grandfather and my uncles that, you know, they took care of me and did, you know, the best. Yeah, I love those men's. But when I got married is when I really knew that, man, I have some daddy issues. Yeah. Like I've got some serious, you know, and then, you know, I didn't really know how to even be a wife sometimes, because I wasn't raised watching a healthy husband and wife relationship. Yeah. So there are some times where I'm like, I don't even know how to be a wife to my husband, because I didn't see that. That's a trauma that I was bringing into my relationship, even as an adult. And then it planted seeds in my mind that I wasn't good enough. You know, I don't know how to be a wife. I'll never know how to be a wife. Will I even know how to be a mother? All of these seeds that were planted into my mind. Thank God I didn't water them, but they were there, and I had to work on it. I had to do the work. I had to begin my healing process in order to get better, because those were traumas that I was bringing in. I felt like I was leaning into Donald to fix some daddy issues that I had, that, you know, that he had no business. That was not his responsibility. You know, I had to get over that. I had to overcome that. And I had to realize that this is my husband. He's not my father. Yeah. He had nothing to do with me, my absent father, you know? So the feelings of, you know, well, I need to be, you know, I need you to, I need to be perfect, or I need to feel needed, you know, by a man, and you're my security, and you're my this.
That validation. Yes. I get from my dad, from you. And
yes, I need you to love me a certain way. Yeah, and that's like, you know, we have to realize that, nip it in the bud, start our healing journey, and continue on with it. And because if not, we're going to make those, you know, if we're in a relationship specifically, then we're going to struggle in that aspect, you know.
Well, the beautiful thing, though, is like you had that self-awareness. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of people, they have the self-awareness that something's wrong here. Like, this relationship isn't what I thought it was. But some people, even in their self-awareness, they still struggle with reaching out. Yeah. Or mustering up enough courage to, you know, talk to a therapist, asking the doctor for help. At least you saw that for yourself.
That was actually the first time I did seek therapy, too, because I should have gotten therapy when I was a child. But again, it wasn't talked about. But, you know, as an adult, I'm like, something's wrong with me. Like, this is not normal. If it is, you know, it's common, but it shouldn't be normal. Right. You know, I'm sure women experience all sorts of different issues, but so it makes it very common, but it can't be normal. I can't be, you know, I realized there was some issues and situations that my husband and I would run into. So definitely childhood traumas do bring adult mental health. You know, we all have mental health, and it's just a matter of checking in. You know, is it on the good side of mental health, or are you struggling with your mental health, just like physically? You know, you go in, you get that clean bill of health from your doctor where you're like, all your vitals are good and blood work's good. You know, let's talk about your mental. How are you feeling, type of thing. So, and be honest with your doctor.
Just share them. I'm not feeling my best. You know? And I remember even back in the day, like when you would fill out the questionnaire at the doctor's office, there wasn't ever any questions about mental health.
That is wild.
When you go,
that is
have
so
you
wild.
been, feeling down in the last 2 weeks, or things like that, and they never even used to ask you that.
Right below, what's your temperature like?
Yeah.
COVID.
So that's the good thing.
Yeah.
So if you are feeling out of sorts, check that box.
Yeah.
And just talk to your doctor about it.
That is so crazy, though. It's a good thing where we've evolved from, but man, that's so crazy.
We had to. We had to because society tells us what's needed.
Yeah.
Right now, the struggle is mental health.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. For sure. And so we talked a little bit about like exercising and how that plays a role in getting better with or taking care of our mental. So I think it's the same thing for me. My thing is walking. I love to walk. Yeah. So if I'm feeling down, again, it's that like indicator, checking my own temperature, like how am I feeling even the day before, how did I react to certain things? I love to journal. I love to walk. It's a form of exercise, or even just go to the gym. I mean, those are the things that I have found that have helped me. So of course, that's what I turn to when I'm not feeling my best. Yeah. The walking, the journaling, the reading, going to the gym, in the morning, doing things that make me feel uncomfortable, but I know they're going to help me. Yeah. Because if I'm stuck in my comfort is being in my bed underneath my blanket, watching a movie and feeling sorry for myself. That's where I'm most comfortable. Yeah. But I want to get out of my comfort zone. And I think that's a scary place for a lot of people to be because it's out of your comfort zone. So naturally, it's like, this isn't comfortable for me, but that's what you have to do. Right. So that's where we grow out of our comfort zone.
You develop a practice because I remember being younger and people didn't really talk about meditation. Well, I met somebody who suggested, have you tried meditating? And I started meditating and just sitting in that quietness, in that space. And it's hard, in the beginning because your mind is just wanders and all these things, that are going on. But once you develop that practice, things begin to shift for you. And I remember working with a team and, some mornings I'd come in and I'd be a little crabby or whatever. And, one of them would lean on, did you meditate this morning, girl? I'm like, actually I didn't, but take those moments, close your office door and just sit quietly and find some grounding and balance. I love journaling myself. I do this thing where I have a notepad by my bed, and at night I write 3 things that I'm grateful for that happened in the day. And the next morning, I set an intention.
I like that.
And it's something that I had to keep practicing and doing. Again, music is very important to me. Just sometimes, when I'm feeling a little anxious, I'll just put on certain music and I just sit there and just let that kind of feed my soul.
I'll never forget when Daisy Ray, she started preschool at Montessori, Children's House Montessori, and during Earth Day, they have this whole thing where they teach them even at 18 months, because they accept them at the schools as young as 18 months. They teach them how to be peaceful, how to bring peace, and how to find peace. Wow. And they do teach them forms of meditation.
That's beautiful.
I know, even at that young age. So, because kids throw tantrums. Oh, yeah. So they have a peace corner. They don't have a timeout corner. They have a peace corner. That's beautiful. Where the chair is facing the wall, but the wall is earthy things. Aww. And
so they're seeing beautiful things.
They're seeing beautiful things, which is peaceful for them. And then they have, I remember they had like this, I don't know if it was I don't know, it was like this scent that would pop up. It was like a I don't remember what it was exactly, but it was like when you go into, I forgot what it was called. When you go in and it smells so lovely and you see, it's not smoke, but it's...
like an aromatic?
Yes, like in some aromatic thing, and that would be on the little desk. It was just a little small one.
There is something about smells that are...
Yeah, so whoever did that knew all about the holistic things. And so they created this peaceful place in the classroom for kids that needed a minute to be peaceful.
Could you imagine if that would have been in all schools?
I know. Instead of, detention, or instead of sending them to a place telling them that they're already bad and they're this, go to the peaceful corner. Or, some of them may still need a butt whooping, but
that's another topic.
Exactly. But, it's for the little ones, though, you're still training their minds, telling them who they are, because they don't know who they are.
Developing.
You're telling them who they are as an educator as well. I just thought it was the coolest thing. And I remember telling Donald, like, man, if they went up to high school, I would keep her in this establishment, because I just felt like that was really cool that they did that.
And the beautiful thing about that child is going to probably remember that all their lives. Yep. That when I'm not in a peaceful state, I could find
You could find peace wherever you're at, or be peaceful, And that's where Daisy learned meditation, to be honest. She would come home and I caught her meditating even with her eyes closed so many times, even at 2-3 years old. And I'm like, girl, what are you doing? Yeah, I know that I did that but I did that in my quiet time. She had never seen me do that before. But I learned back to school night, Earth Day, that's what they were doing. Yeah. I'm like, oh my God, that is so cute.
That is amazing. That's really beautiful. I wish they had that more in public, especially public schools.
And you brought up meditation and mindfulness practices. Is there anything else that you do as far as like mindfulness practices?
Well, we talked about scents, right? There's I have a diffuser, and sometimes...
Diffuser, that was the word I was trying to... They have a little diffuser on that desk.
There's certain scents that kind of bring me a calming and a peace. So I'll, you've been to my house before, and anybody who's ever been to my house, I usually have a diffuser going just to kind of, just to help with that calming smell. I'll burn anything from... sage in the diffuser, or the other night in my room, because I was super tired, but I was a lot of fatigue. I burned a little bit of lavender, just to kind of So that's really helpful. I do like to read a lot of self-help books, but also I'm finding that I'm kind of, even though I'm still reading those books, I'm nudging from like books about positivity and just stories about like good things that happen in life. I like to watch also, certain shows. I know some people are into the CSI and kill them all dead kind of shows. I personally, this is just my personal opinion, I think what you see visually kind of, can disrupt your spirit in a sense. So I try to watch things that are going to be uplifting or something like that.
Feed your soul.
Yeah, unless I'm with my son Anthony, who likes to watch all the WWF.
Oh my God.
Wrestling stuff.
That is hilarious. Your mama said it, Anthony. Yeah. All those are good practices, though. I love that. And again, it's just knowing and being aware of what helps you.
And the term is practice.
Right.
Practice. Work on something, try to figure it out, because not everything that works for me is going to work for you.
Exactly.
Vice versa.
Exactly.
Not everything is that, I remember I see a therapist, and she's amazing, and I have seen a therapist off and on for many years. And she, said, hey, why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? We'll come and do a check-in. Well, there's some stuff that she's recommended that just doesn't work for me because of who I am.
Yeah.
So you got to find those things that are going to work for you. Don't just do it because your friend does it and it works for her.
Right.
You've got to find your own balance. You got to find the things that will resonate with your spirit and help you mentally.
Yeah, that's definitely a good reminder.
Yeah, for sure.
All sorts of things important to keeping up with your mental health. Sleep. If you're not getting enough sleep, don't think that you're gonna just be productive the following day, especially if you have to go to work.
Especially if you got to get up early and come do a podcast.
Yeah, exactly. The 6 a.m. podcast. Speaking to myself here. No, but seriously, all I need is about maybe 6 to 7 hours of sleep. If I get any more than that, I am exhausted and I am not productive.
Wow.
I can't do the 8-9 hours of sleep. I just can't. I don't know.
So you've just kind of programmed yourself.
I have programmed myself because I wasn't always like that. And I think, honestly, it's because of Donald. Donald has been able to function his whole adult life, his entire adult life, on 5 hours of sleep.
Wow.
And that's all he needs. And he is up. When I say he is up, howling, making animal noises, like doing the whole nine, talking to himself, like trying to talk himself down, like all kind of things at 5 a.m., 4 a.m. And he goes to sleep pretty early. So I've just kind of gravitated towards his habit, which is a good habit. But for me, it's like, if I can get 6.5, I've even been able to do it on 6, where I've been able to just travel to, and I've been good. I feel like the less sleep I get, the more I'm energized. It doesn't always happen that way because I'll go to sleep like at 10:30, 11, so that as long as I get whatever that 6.5 hour brings me to in the morning, then I'm good with that. I can't get any more sleep than that, and I have to be disciplined in my sleep because I will be a wreck. Like, my sleep is everything to me.
Do you try to go to bed at like a decent hour?
Oh, yeah. Our whole house is in bed by, our routine is Daisy has to be in shower by 6:37 at night.
I think that's important too.
Oh, yeah. And then we have to be in bed by at least 8:30. Like, it has to be because, we can't do them crazy morning things. Like, if it works, it works. And that has worked for us. It works that, Donald's kind of structured the house to be that way. And I just kind of followed suit with that, because if it was up to me, we would be in that wreck in the morning, and we would be in that, that crazy, like, rushing, and because I would stretch my alarm clock up until the very, very end and snooze, snooze, snooze. But no, I found that it works the way that, he's like, no, we all should be in bed by this time. And because he gets up for work early, by 4 o'clock, he's already awake, and 4 a.m., and then he's out by 5. By the time he leaves, I'm already up trying to get our house together, our Daisy together.
Sleep is really, really,
it is.
It is very important, because it's my understanding that when we don't get enough sleep, it literally affects our serotonin level.
Oh, yeah.
And things like that.
Dopamines, all that stuff.
All that stuff. But me, myself, I've always struggled with sleep. I've always either slept too much when I was feeling down or depressed or whatever, or I didn't sleep because my mind constantly goes.
Yeah.
And now that I'm, at the wise age and experiencing some menopause, which is another topic we'll be discussing. Because it ain't fun, sisters.
Oh, man.
I struggle with the sleep now. I could sleep 3-4 hours and I'm just laying wide awake. So those are things that I'm trying to like navigate and walk through. And
do you drink any tea, like chamomile?
I drink kava tea.
Okay.
Me and my sister both drink that at night to kind of shut it down. I take herbs that try to help.
It's a whole regimen for you then.
Regimen for me.
Yeah.
And then sometimes it works, the fatigue is not quite there, but sleep is very important with your mental health. And lately, and I don't know if this is because I am getting older, but I'm enjoying naps now.
Oh, you little cat.
I have told people on the phone, girl, I gotta go. I need to take me a nap. I'm not feeling my best. I set my little alarm for 20-30 minutes, and then I wake up.
Refreshed. You know what your body needs. Naps, like, that is definitely, and that's another thing for me too with naps. If I do a 3-hour nap, I'm waking up feeling like, what planet am I on? Because it is just like, I done missed the school bus. Oh my goodness. It's happened to where I'm like, how did I sleep for 3 hours? Like, obviously, I think I needed it, but I don't feel good when I wake up. So I'm like, my body could not have needed it. I don't know. Who knows?
That's crazy.
It is crazy, but if I take that 10, 15-minute nap, oh man, I can just go run a marathon. I don't run again, but.
And see, I never used to like to nap because I would always wake up with like kind of a weird headache.
Oh, yeah.
But like I said, I don't know if it's because I'm getting older, but I enjoy those little 15, 20.
Oh yeah, most
My
definitely.
sister walks in and she just laughs at me if I'm knocked out on the couch.
Yeah.
She's like, girl, you all right?
You all right?
I took a little nap. That's fine.
Oh man, so it was good talking to you guys about mental health. And just a quick recap though, we talked about foods, dieting with, or healthy diets, I'm sorry, not really dieting because we don't like that 4-letter word, but brain foods, leafy greens, teas, coffees, believe it or not, fatty fish if you're a seafood type of person, walnuts, berries, fruits and vegetables, all the good things, right? Engaging in regular physical activity. Just move your body. Even if it's just dancing, be silly, be yourself. Do something out of the ordinary. Go for a walk, go for a jog, go to the gym. Whatever it is, just get physical, right? Like that, wasn't that a song? Let's get physical, hey. Getting enough sleep is super important, right? For a positive mental health. Practicing relaxation techniques, meditation, breathing exercises, that's all important to having a healthy mental, a positive mental health. Finding your quiet place, your Zen area, Pilates, yoga, all of those things help. You just have to do it. Yeah. Socializing with family and friends, making sure that they're not, vomiting on you, all of their problems. You got to make sure that you are in a good space to be able to receive whatever it is that you're going around. So I know I always like to do temperature checks with people like, I got a lot going on. Are you even emotionally prepared for what I've got? Just doing a quick, because if you're not right, I do that with my bestie sometimes. I'm like, girl, I can already tell if she's not right to take in what I have, I'm going to just keep quiet. I'm not trying to send her down the road.
That's practice, though, to check in and do that. I'm kind of bad at it.
Yeah, because the first thing we want to do is just like, oh my God, I'm going through this and this and this and that. And before you know it, they're just looking like depleted. Like, man, I wasn't ready for that. You sucked that life out of me.
Ask permission first.
Ask for That's exactly what it is. I heard that years ago. Make sure that whoever you are just talking to and venting to, make sure that they're in a good emotional space. Because first of all, they may not be. They may not give you the right advice. They may send you even down a rabbit hole, or they're not mentally competent and prepared to be able to receive that. And then I think the most important thing is just to check in with your doctor, seek professional help. Again, there's levels to depression and mental health, and if you're not getting the resources that you need, talk to your doctor, talk to a professional. There's nothing wrong with seeking professional help. If you don't receive it, I think that's when it becomes wrong for you. Yeah. So I do want to leave you all, of course, the the phone number. If you're contemplating suicide, that's a huge thing. Thoughts of suicide, or just feeling like you want to give up or need help, just dial 988 on your phone. Dial 988, and that is where you can get that help. And we're sending our positive thoughts and just everything that, hoping that you have a great week this week. We do want to bring up, share some mental health reminders too with you guys. Can you see that from here?
I can. Make time for yourself.
Yes, making time for yourself. Remember that your feelings are valid.
Yep.
Spend time with people who pour into you. That's a huge one. And not drain you. Learn to say no when you need it. Give yourself some credit. You're doing the best that you can. And don't let your thoughts control you. That's huge. Don't let your thoughts control you, because before you know it, you'll be going crazy because you've watered seeds that should not have been planted in the first place. So
the mind tricks us.
The mind does trick us. But have a fabulous week, you guys. I hope you're feeling a little more empowered to be able to deal with some, stresses or some mental health issues that you may have been dealing with. But at the end of the day, you're gonna be okay, and we're sending love and light and prayers your way.
Have a good week.
Have a good week, guys. Yeah. Cheers. What does your mug say?